So when I first started Breaworlds, I made a world, I collected a free resources, and then I immediately started crossbreeding, because crossbreeding is always my favorite favorite thing in these games to do. You know, just going down, getting the resources, and seeing what you can make. And all of these different Pixelworlds adjacent, Growtopia adjacent games have different crossbreeding, and they make different recipes in different ways. So it's always different and exciting to see what you get. Like, one of the early items I got was a wooden pickaxe that you can get from just a really basic recipe, and I don't necessarily know if it gives you more gems or if it breaks faster. I would assume it's like other games and breaks faster, but yeah, it was just a surprise recipe that I got. Now, the main thing that was kind of annoying with crossbreeding, and it was a little exciting initially, I didn't crossbreed for long, but it was a little exciting initially, crossbreeding and finding out what items I could get, but there's no tree growth animation or indication whether or not a tree can crossbreed with the seed you're holding. So this was kind of unfortunate. I believe this game's been out for 5 years now, if not a little bit less, and I'm just surprised they haven't still come up with these kind of animations. If I remember, Growtopia, which is, I'll get into, a lot of Breaworlds is based on Growtopia, but if I remember correctly, from Growtopia, there was also no indication of when the tree was grown, or is growing, or whatever. So that was a little unfortunate to see they didn't take that advice from Pixelworlds. But it is what it is. I'll probably get used to it over time as I keep playing. And you know, it feels a little janky, but you know, it'll work. It'll work. Yeah, I'm not sure when Breaworlds came out. I thought it was 2020. I was actually looking on the Discord, and I was just looking at messages, and they went all the way back to 2020. And I think, you know, I don't know when Pixelworld started failing. I mean, I would say that probably 2022 when, like, Jake left, or around there. So I would have expected Breaworlds to, like, start development when that happened, but no, it's actually a lot further back. I think it was maybe just a couple years after Pixelworlds came out that they started being in development. It could have been a really short development cycle too, and they just started in 2019 or something, brought it out in 2020. But yeah, it is the oldest game of the games I'm playing right now, I believe. You know, out of Pixel Planet and Crystal Realms, Breaworlds is definitely the oldest, which does mean it's going to have these big features, or, you know, somewhat big features at least, and a lot more items, and a lot more to do, I think. And also, the game's going to be bigger, for sure. So, here's the thing about Breaworlds. The overall presentation is, like, really, really similar to Growtopia. And I did make a video a long time ago, back in 2020, where I played Breaworlds, and yeah, it must have just come out. It must have just come out then, back in 2020, because that's when I made a video on it. And back then, I said, you know, it's a ton like Growtopia, but back then I said, okay, you know, this is a new game, so I bet they'll change the menus. I bet they'll change the sound effects and the animations and all that. But they haven't. You know, it looks so similar to Growtopia, and it's a little off-putting. Even the character's too similar to Growtopia, to the Growtopian, right? I wish it was more like Pixelworlds, and that's what we're going to start to see in the other games that I've played. If you're watching the highlight, you know, feel free to check out those other games on my channel. But yeah, it's basically as close as you can get to a Growtopia clone. You know, if you thought Pixelworlds was a Growtopia clone, just look at Breaworlds. But it's not that bad of a game. I'll get into that in my analysis at the end of the little segment here. So I did start to have to look up a game guide, and that's just how it is with crossbreeding too. It gets a little monotonous to have to be careful. If you can't see if you can crossbreed with something, you know, you're kind of gonna get scammed out of your seeds a little bit when you're trying to experiment with crossbreeding. So I just went and saw what crossbred with what, and tried to figure it out. But before I tried to do that with crossbreeding, I actually found a really specific guide on the Breaworlds wiki on how to do stuff. It's kind of funny, honestly, but yeah. So the guide basically said, go straight to a BFG. And that was the first step. Find a BFG to farm gems to get a world lock. And unlike Growtopia, which has like a refined system offline for BFGs, where you can just go to a BFG world, take a little wrench, and then place the blocks yourself and break the blocks, and they'll go straight to the mag plant or whatever. You know, I think Breaworlds has that mag plant system, because I heard someone bring it up just today, actually, when I was playing. I don't know how it works, because all of these BFGs that I've been going to, it's either one block, place, and break. So the owner places a block, and everybody has to try to fight for if they can get the gems from the block or not. Or it's just open worlds with, like, you know, locks kind of open for people to just try to break the whatever blocks they've placed there, and then just move on to the next world. Those are the only offline options. Or the previous one's not even an offline option. So, yeah. So on the first day that I did Breaworlds, and I was kind of doing this on my phone, and that's probably the majority of how I'm going to play it, just because it's easier to do it mobile, and it's the only one I can do on the go, so I can do it, you know, between classes and stuff. I just was so unlucky finding BFGs. I went on their Discord, tried to see messages of people recommending BFG worlds, and I was pretty unlucky. Especially with the one BFG world guy that was spamming all of the BFG slots in the world, which I was talking about, just big giant slots with, you know, places that should have blocks in them. They were completely empty, so I just got unlucky with that time. So I gave up. I come back to today, and I did find a BFG. So I found this BFG with this guy with the one block, and he was, you know, one block placing. I was trying to break. There was this guy here, and later on there was a couple more people too. I think this is this mag plant right here. But yeah, we were just trying to break it, and you can see right here I was really close. I got the 2,500 gems, and then I bought the world lock, and yeah, it was really nice. I bought the world lock, and I placed it in my world Lumina, and that's probably where I'm going to be making my first base of operations. I might try to sell the world and just get some make a dirt farm and stuff, but that's for later to do. So yeah, basically my thoughts on Breaworld just starting out. Its whole gameplay rotation, at least in the beginning, is extremely identical to Growtopia, if not somewhat similar to Pixelworlds as well. It feels like there is a couple different avenues. I can't remember exactly what I came across, but there was this one world where I saw that there was, I believe, fishing. There's just farming as well, and there might be a couple other systems that I can try out, but it's not super deep yet, which is okay. You know, it's probably a small indie team, so they're just taking their time on different things. But yeah, that's my whole interpretation of Breaworlds and what happened, my actual playthrough. You know, back in 2020, I did a little coverage of just the basics, beginner basics, but this was my actual playthrough of, you know, playing it a bit, seeing how it shakes out, what you're supposed to do in the beginning, and all that.